What's going on, guys? Today we're gonna find out if we need one of these. So stay tuned. Let's roll that intro. Yeah, guys, so this doohickey right here is called, let me turn that. This doohickey right here is called a light meter. And I want to tell you guys what it is, what it does, and some of you may know what it is, some of you may have heard of it, and you may be asking the question, why do I need a light meter? I've seen them, they've tried to sell me one and all that stuff. So I'm going to break it down for you guys. What a light meter is basically your camera has one. What your camera has inside of it is called a reflective light meter. So what that's doing is that is measuring the light that's bouncing off your subject and reflecting back into the camera, usually through the lens. So that is what your camera does, and you kind of have control over that. So like when you turn, when you're trying to get your exposure, you want to get your exposure like right in where that zero is, because if you go to the left, you're underexposed. If you go to the right, you're overexposed. So you want to try to get it like in the ballpark of right where that middle part is, right? So what your camera is doing is, let's say you're doing a wedding, for example, and you have your groom is wearing black and he's against you're outside, your groom's wearing black. So what your camera sees is, if you're metering for the groom, what your camera sees is, whoa, this is way too dark, right? So your camera's trying to make the groom's black shirt or black suit 18% gray. So you're not going to get true black out of that because your camera's trying to make it 18% gray. And same thing when you're shooting the bride, I was gonna say the wife, but same thing when you're shooting the bride. When she has a white dress, your camera's thinking, whoa, this is way too bright. Let me tone it down some. Let me bring it down to 18% gray. So what the light meter does, I don't know why this keeps coming off, but what your light meter does is, especially with the dome, it's measuring the light that's falling onto your subject. So your groom, he has a black shirt just like me, and it's measuring the light that's going to be falling onto. So it doesn't really care. It doesn't care if the shirt is black. It doesn't care if the shirt is green. It doesn't care if the dress is white, red, brown. All that doesn't matter. All it's doing is measuring the light that's falling onto your subject. So that's the difference between what your camera's doing and what the light meter is doing. And another great use for the light meter is shooting film. And I've shot film for a while, and this has really came in clutch when shooting film. And for the same reasons I just told you about shooting digital, the same apply with film. And it kind of helps you reduce a lot of like missed exposure shots. Like, you know exactly what you're gonna get when you're shooting with this, and then you have some wiggle room. Just same thing with digital, you have wiggle room to play around with your creativity in Lightroom or in the darkroom processing. Another great way this tool is awesome for is studio, because I am primarily a studio photography. I love using strobes, and this really comes in handy when I'm using strobes. It helps me get my light ratios correct, and it helps me get repeatable results. I'm not always going in guessing on where my light setup is going to be and how it is. I have complete knowledge of pretty much, okay, my light is 5 feet away, it's going to be at half power, it's going to be at f11. So that's just an example It all depends on the modifier that you use and stuff like that. But that's just a quick example. So I'm going to show you guys how using this in conjunction with the studio light. I have my Explorer 200 right here, or Evolve 200 right here, and we're gonna say I want to shoot at f8. So also with the light meter, you must be familiar with the exposure triangle, and what the exposure triangle is your aperture, your ISO, and your shutter speed. So when you're dialing in with your light meter, what you're going to do is put 2 of the 3 in, and usually it's aperture, or well, for me right now I have it on shutter speed and ISO. So the light meter is going to figure out the aperture for me. So as long as I have those 2 in, as long as you have 2 of the 3 in, so if you're trying to go for aperture, you're going to set it for aperture reading. You set it in, you know, if you want f5.6, you're going to put 5.6 in, and you're going to put your ISO in, and then it's going to figure out your shutter speed. Or if you want, you always want to put your shutter speed in on the you're always going to put your ISO in on the light meter. It's really never going to guess that one for you. So usually just aperture and shutter speed. So today I want to show you guys, I'm shooting, we're going to put it at 250th of a second, and we're going to turn on the light. Let's see, let me test it real quick. Okay, that's working. So we're gonna say, I'm gonna put the power on 1/32 power, right? So I want my ISO at 100. I want my shutter speed at 250. Let's just say that's the max sync speed for my camera. And I'm gonna press the meter button, and we're gonna meter. So this is saying 5.0 is the aperture for the distance of this light, and this light is only like 2 to 3 feet away from you, and it's at 5.0. And then let's just say I want it to be f8, right? So I'm at 132. We're gonna go, oh, it's 132 plus 3, so it's 132.3 of a stop. So we're gonna go up to right here. I put it at 1/16.7, and that gives me f8. So that's how quick and simple it is to use a light meter. I wanted f8. I dialed in, I was at 5.6. I knew I wanted to go up, so bam, 1 stop up, f8. So that's pretty much how you do that. And it's also great for when you have multiple lights. You could dial each of them in at your taste. So think of it as like cooking, like your recipe. This is pretty much your recipe, your lighting recipe. So let's just say I have a background light behind me, right? I want it to be a little bit brighter than me, so because I wanted to have a high key background. So what I would do is, I have f8 on my main light. I want either f8 and 1/3 of a stop, or maybe even go f9. Depends on the distance between me and the background. So we're gonna see f9. I could meter that, get that at f8 and 1/3 or f9, and bam, we have a high key background. We have me exposed, and there we go. No fiddling, hey, this doesn't look right, let me change this. Shoot, this doesn't look right, change this. So this eliminates chimping, and that's great for when you're working, especially with professionals and you have people, art directors and stuff looking at over your shoulder. That's just not good, because they're gonna be like, does he know what he's doing? Like, yeah. So when you're able to just to go bam, 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 they see you as a working professional and you get the job done, and bam, that's it. So that's pretty much my take on light meters. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm pushing out more videos. I'm loving this new setup I have. I have a window right in front of me. When I was at my apartment, it was like no windows in there, so it was always dark. So I was putting up my homemade Kino flows. I can show you guys right now. These are my homemade Kino flows. Let's see, I kind of wrapped this up pretty tight. So it's pretty much just a shop light that I got at Home Depot. And I got the non-flicker fluorescent bulbs. And these are like barn doors that I made out of blinds. And I just never got a chance. I never got to paint them black. I was gonna paint them black, but yeah, these work awesome. This was my light setup at my apartment, and I'm just glad to say that I got more than enough light in here. And once I get a wider aperture, I mean not a wider angle lens, I'll be able to show you guys more of the space here into my videos. But that's why my videos are always so tight. I'm using a 50mm on here. I used to use it on the A6300, and yeah, it was pretty much like an 80mm, so that was even tighter than what it is now. But yeah, so if you like this video, please comment, hit that like button, and subscribe for more videos, and peace.